Anyway, enough about 2011 and my enlightenment. That will come later. I realized that whatever I might find significant in my life, I'm really more interested in my spiritual life than anything else. What I might find significant, others may not find as significant. So instead of starting in 2004, I'm going to go way back to 1992. If you have been on my channel before, or if you want to now, my story of my childhood and up to the age of 20 is already here under a simple koan. Now, it's a book I'm writing about my life. I, of course, in that story, am Saul. If you want to watch it. For those of you who have, or who will, in Chapter 4, I discuss my car accident. This metal rod right here is the rod that I mentioned in that chapter. This rod was put in my leg, and because of complications, which I go into in that chapter, 5 minutes later after I woke up, 5 minutes after the surgery, I woke up. And they couldn't give me any painkiller for an hour. Now, those of you who want to threaten me with guns, you think I'm scared of a bullet? I had this in my leg with no painkiller at all for an hour. Boggles my mind that some of you people believe you're going to survive the next few years. But back to the story. In 92, well, I actually end the book here in 90. So I'm skipping 2 years. 2 years that were fairly important considering I did go up to New York and I did have an acting scholarship. I don't want to go into that story, so I'm not going to. When I got back here to Huntsville, at that point in my life, at 22, I saw myself becoming a professional actor. I could be a professional actor. I had a scholarship in New York. Messed it up. Big time. I came back here a failure, as far as I was concerned. I wanted to be an actor, and then I wanted to use that to springboard into writing. I was interested in doing a particular screenplay that I was adapting from John Milton's Paradise Lost. I had been interested in that for some time, and continue to be interested in that up until the time I became enlightened and realized just how unimportant a dumb movie is. When I came back here to Huntsville, I felt like a complete failure. It's good to learn humility at a young age. I did. After which, I started working in convenience stores. Now this is only significant because I was working in convenience stores on the other side of town. I was raised typical WASP child, typical middle class, and hadn't seen the other side of things. This convenience stores I worked in, I've had gang fights. I had a guy try to stab me in the stomach. In other words, I got woken up to real life. In the end of '91, I guess it was. Yeah. My dad, who was still going to the church that I grew up in, I wasn't going to church anymore, asked me if I wanted to go down with this church group down to a Central American country called Honduras. They were going to build an adobe brick hut building for some orphan children down there. I jumped at the chance. It sounded like something I definitely would want to do. I like adventure. Not so much anymore. The older you get, the less you like it. But come summertime of '92, I went down with the church group down to Honduras. I could really go into detail here, but the significance of Honduras is very great in my life. Honduras is a beautiful country, very poor country, second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere next to Haiti. When we came into Tegucigalpa, which is the capital city, we then went out to the farm where we were going to build this building. Honduras has two seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. And we were down there in the rainy season. I've always been there in the rainy season. I haven't seen the dry. And you could see the sky was like it was just huge. You see for miles, miles and miles. Beautiful green rolling hills. The rain would come in and it pours down rain, but you would see it coming good 10 minutes before it came. And you would stop working and then you would go sit down under in the porch, and it would pour down rain for about 15 minutes, and then you go back to work. So humid it would dry up in seconds. It's quite an experience. That part, though, was only a little part of the experience that I had down there. After doing this for a week, we were going to be down there for 2 weeks. There was some kind of conference going on. This was the Episcopal Church. Some kind of conference was going on there at the farm. So it was a Friday, and we were going to go into the city. Now, Tegucigalpa is a big city. It's about 700,000 people there. The women, women are gorgeous. Amazing women. Now that Friday we had church service on a Friday. Then we had a church service in Spanish. So we had 2 church services. And this was before we left the farm. And then we went into Tegucigalpa, where we were going to go to another church service. Now, I was not a churchgoer. I went down there to have fun, not to go to church 3 times on a Friday. Well, we got into the city. I decided that I was going to go out and look around for a little while, the marketplace and whatnot. No one wanted to go with me, so I went by myself. About an hour before the service, before we go to the services. Well, I was walking back to the hotel, and one of the guys that went down there with us was standing there in the front door. And he wanted to be a smartass with me. He said, "Are you going to the services?" And I said, "Do I have a choice?" And he said, "Yeah." So I said, "Nope." Turned around and walked back into the marketplace. Now, I walked around for a while until I came to a particular street that would change my life. On one side there was one bar, and on the other side there was another. Now, I knew very little Spanish, but I knew what cerveza meant, beer. It is funny how your life turns on a dime, and how fate steps in. The left side bar didn't have any kind of placard or anything in front of it, but the right side bar did. It said cerveza. So I walked into that bar. That was the bar that I met my first wife in.